the big news in the game world today is Embracer has bought Square Enix's 3 Western studios, Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal. Pretty big news because Square Enix owns quite a few like really big IPs. The biggest one, of course, Tomb Raider, Lara Croft getting a new home. Deus Ex is also on that list. Thief, along with others, Legacy of Kain, Project Snowblind, Soul Reaver, Blood Omen, Gex, if you remember old Gex, and Whiplash, and Sleeping Dogs. They avoided the question on, so that's up in the air if Square Enix owns the Sleeping Dogs IP or not. Classic game. If you know it, it harkens back to the old True Crime series. But I hope this is part of the acquisition actually, and maybe we'll get a Sleeping Dogs sequel instead of just another Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition re-released for the 15th time. So it's a big ordeal. The second reason it's big is because Embracer. If you're not paying attention to Embracer is embracing the world around them. They are insanely huge. Everybody's paying attention to Microsoft and everything that they're doing. So Embracer has made over 70 acquisitions in the last 10 years or so. They have tons of IPs, like over 250 licensing IPs that they have access to. They have like 200 games in development currently. They own Koch Media, which is Deep Silver, Saber Interactive, Deca Games. They just bought Gearbox. If I guarantee you know multiple IPs and games that this company now owns. Back about 10 years ago or so, they bought THQ, so they own the massive THQ, most of the THQ library. Yeah, when you start, let me start rattling off some of these games. When you start paying attention to what they own, it's a series. I actually went and bought some stock in them because I'm like, holy crap, they own an enormous amount of IPs and games. But everything from Destroy All Humans, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, Kingdom Amalur, Borderlands, Duke Nukem, the Metro series, Ghostbusters, Stalker. They own the Time Splitter series, Saints Row, Maneater. They developed that, I believe. Homefront, Risen, Sacred, Red Faction. They did the Jedi Knight re-releases. Gianna Systems, The Blob, Super Lucky Tales, the Sphinx series, MX vs. ATV, Desperados, the Darksider series, Biomutant. This list goes on. It just goes on and on. I started researching, and I was like, holy shit, I was going to do a whole video on this, but it's just way too complex. It's way too many. They have acquired way too many studios, and they have studios that have studios. So anywho, and another reason I like this company, Red Faction, they bring back a lot of classics that were from my childhood, things that I thought were never going to be made again, remastered, brought back, and whatever. I love this company because they don't mind digging in the crates, bringing back the stuff, even if it is limited release, even if it's a very niche title. So I'm really happy for this. I think Deus Ex is in great hands now. I think we'll finally get a new entry in that. I think this is a lot of potential for the Tomb Raider and Lara Croft series. You know, it's kind of weird because that's a huge series, and it just had a very successful reboot. I believe there's a new project, movie, anime in the works as well. But I'm excited. Thief, I think there's a lot of room for growth there. I think this company is going to bring back Gex, if I'm not mistaken, because just judging by how they have this kind of care and passion for old IPs and old characters like such, I just feel like that's coming back. So yeah, big news today. Embracer by Square Enix Western Studios. Yeah, I just tell everybody, keep an eye on Embracer, man. They're creeping on a come up, in my opinion.